This is Financially Fit Radio with Corey Sickles from Safe Harbor Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Corey provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Financially Fit Radio with Corey Sickles.
Welcome back to another episode of Financially Fit Radio. I'm Corey Sickles, representing the team here at Safe Harbor Retirement Group and Wealth Advisors. If you'd like more information about the insights on today's show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit us on the web at safeharboroh.com. While exploring our website, be sure to navigate to that radio page. There you can catch up on all the previous shows and even subscribe to our program through popular podcast platforms like Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, or Spotify. For engaging visual content on various financial subjects, feel free to drop by our YouTube page as well. Just search for Safe Harbor Retirement Group. Now, we're here to address any inquiries you might have or to arrange either an in-person or virtual meeting. And remember, all of our meetings are complimentary and carry no obligation. So your financial well-being is our priority, so let us know how we can assist you the best. Well, we're going to talk about the impact of inflation on your Social Security benefits. I think it's a good discussion. They're getting ready to release the COLA, or the increase that you're going to get here in 2024. But before we kind of dive into that, let me introduce to you my co-host this week and every week, and that's Tony Schor. Tony, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's been a great week, just really busy, enjoying the weather. We've had some unseasonably nice weather lately, and I know we were talking before the show. We've both been trying to get outside and enjoy that weather. I went to an apple orchard and vineyard fall event this weekend. It was great. And had an apple brought, bought some apple pie, picked some apples. So, yeah, it's delicious. I love, we do that every fall.
Yeah, October is a great month. I like, of course, Halloween. Eventually,
Sure.
That's going to be here pretty quick. Seeing all those little kids come around to the houses, pass out your candy or whatever you want to give them. But, that's a good time of the year. Golf-wise for me, Tony, it's really the best time of the year.
Oh, yeah.
So,
the weather's perfect for golf, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
The only issue I hate about it is when the leaves fall and you got to try to find your ball if you don't hit it in the fairway.
Well, my problem with leaves falling is having to rake them and bag them. They pick up our leaves at our house. Yeah. I have a very old oak tree. That thing doesn't come down till like the last week of November, the first part of December. So right now it's acorn season at my house. So your yard is full of acorns, huh?
Yeah. I was mowing the lawn, and it's kind of like I'm dodging torpedoes out there. They just keep falling. They just keep falling off of the house.
Wow.
Or off the tree onto the house and everything else. So
that's the problem with those trees. Beautiful trees, though. But we're talking about inflation today, Corey, and I never really thought about inflation's effect on Social Security, but you're right. There's that COLA. They do a cost of living adjustment each year. Now, I know in the past, there's been years where it's been zero, though, where they don't give you any, right?
That's exactly right. If you go back from 2010 to 2020, Tony, the average increase was about 2.6%. And I know we either had 2 or 3 zeros during that time frame as well. And, I think everyone, back in 2022, if you look at it, we had an increase of 5.9%. And last year, I think everybody was happy. It was the largest raise for retired workers more than 40 years. And it increased by 8.7%.
Yeah. So
what they're expecting they'll finalize it, of course, during the month of October here. But really what it's on target to do, based upon reading some articles and things like that, we're probably looking at about a 3% increase in 2024. So what kind of impact does that really have? So in June, the average Social Security, here's some numbers for some average Social Security numbers. So the average monthly benefit for retired workers was $1,837. That 3% increase means it's going to go to $1,892. The average survivor benefit is about $1,451, and that's going to go up about, almost about $45 to $1,495 as well. So the other part of that, I also did a little research, and we're looking at the Medicare benefits actually increasing by about $10. So if you're on Medicare Part B, it's going to go from 164 to basically 174. So that's a little bit over a 6% increase on your Medicare Part B benefits as well. And I think everybody knows, Tony, inflation's been here for the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a lot of clients. They've all been complaining about it. You just don't have the spending power.
Right.
And, we're still, if you really think about it, even if we get a 3% increase on your Social Security benefits, you're probably not going to be keeping up with inflation this year. Just kind of where we are and where interest rates are. And so your buying power going into 2024 is probably going to actually take a little bit of a hit here.
I would say so. I would think that the Social Security, those cost of living adjustments, Corey, my problem is always they don't ever keep up with true inflation. Things like drug costs, healthcare costs, health insurance costs, these really don't keep up with those actual costs. The calculation and formula that they use to figure out the COLA is never taking into consideration things that just exponentially go up in cost. And we've seen such high inflation that even with the high increase last year, it just doesn't quite keep up, does it?
It doesn't. It does not do that. And of course, one of the things, Tony, that we do, of course, is when we start laying income plans for clients or projections and things like that, actually, Social Security is a big foundation of that, right? And I know there's a lot of people out there that say, I don't know how long I'm going to live. I want to take my Social Security as early as possible. And, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is people are living longer, right? Yep. And one thing I want to do is kind of go over just a little bit of a scenario here of, if you would delay your benefits, and what I'm going to use is 62, 66, and 70, right? So to make it just to make it very easy, let's just say your full retirement age is 66.
Okay.
And if you wait until 66, then you're going to get $1,000 per month. So if you actually take it at 62, you're actually going to receive a 25% reduction.
Wow.
Which means if you take it at 62, you're going to make $750. And if you actually can wait until the age of 70, it's going to be a 32% increase over which you would get at your full retirement age, which is about $1,320, right? So if you start your benefits at age 62, you're going to receive benefits for 48 months before you would turn, your full retirement age, which is about $36,000 of more income during that time frame. If you wait until 66, right, then you're going to receive that $1,000 per month. And if you started at age 70, you're going to, receive those benefits for 48 months later. And that's going to be about a $63,000 absence that you're going to actually have if you wait until the age of 70. So here's the everyone always wants to know this. What's my break even? And what I mean by that is if I take it at 62 versus I wait till 66, or if I wait till 70, what is my break even point where I've accumulated the same amount of money? And in this example, just a simple example here, it's the age of 77. So if you wake up at age 77, you're still living, you should have chose 70. Because now you're losing money for all this, particular time frame. And the reason why I say that, why that's so important, Tony, is because, if something, say you're the main earner within the family, and you pass away and you took it at age 62, now your spouse is going to have a lot less money, for her rest of her retirement or as long as she lives as well. People are living longer. If you're married, odds of you anymore, if you're 65, you have like an 80% chance of one of you are going to make it to age 90. So the whole point of this is I think it's so important to before you trigger your benefits to make sure you understand exactly what you're doing. Yeah. And we have a Social Security report that's going to break down, and we can do different scenarios. If you want to take it at 64 versus 67 versus whatever age you want to be able to do it, we're going to be able to show you what kind of impact that's going to have, of how much money you can actually potentially lose or make additional money in retirement because you actually maximize your Social Security benefits. Right. It's a great report. And the one thing that I would say when we start talking about all this type of stuff is, I think everybody, if people had a report that you could become educated and learn about, I think you might have a different philosophy on the way that you want to take your Social Security benefits. You only get one shot at it. You need to make sure you understand what you're doing. And, of course, the longer you live, I'd rather have a 3%, I'd rather have a 3% increase on $2,500 than $1,800.
Right. So that's the point right there. And I'm glad you're talking about this. I never thought of that. But if you take your Social Security benefit as soon as you can, those costs of living increases are going to be 3% or whatever they are of a lot less. So
that's exactly right.
You want 3% of $2,500, not 3% of $1,200 is what you're saying.
That's exactly right.
Or $1,000.
So right. So, for example, if you're making $1,500 and they raise your Medicare Part B by $10 per month, that's about a 6%, a little bit over a 6% increase. Mm-hmm. But now if you're making $2,500 and they increase it by $1,000 by $10 a month, it's going to be a lot less.
Yeah.
So that impact of inflation is going to be less for you because you're making more money and you've maximized those benefits.
Yeah, and usually when there is a cost of living increase, they also increase Medicare costs. So that that helps eat away at some of that increase, right? Each time.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, the whole point of all of this is by delaying and making a little bit more money off your Social Security, those increases are going to have a bigger impact. You're still going to have maybe potentially some erosion of your purchasing power, but it's going to be less if you're making more money, long term, for you, because let's face it, inflation goes up, things cost more, whether they calculate it the right way or don't calculate it the wrong way or whatever they're doing in order to come up with that cost of living increase. The more you make, the bigger impact it's going to have, not only short term, but long term, during your retirement years as well.
Yeah. Overall, there's always inflation. Whether we've been fortunate, we had a big run of, 2-3%, which is great. But there's always inflation of some type. Vehicles cost more, houses cost more, groceries cost more. Everything that we need and use and pay for in our everyday lives has gone up. And
that's exactly,
yeah. So
that's exactly right.
So I think before we go on, though, Corey, let's take a quick break here and let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, for our listeners out there, just give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit our website at safeharboroh.com. And, if you haven't taken your Social Security benefits yet, we can run the Social Security maximization report for you. It's going to show, what's the best situation for you and your family. If you don't have a financial plan, we can put one in place for you. Again, just give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit our website at safeharboroh.com to schedule that complimentary no obligation meeting with us.
All right. Sounds good. I think that's great. And listeners, please pick up the phone, give Corey and his team a call, get a plan in place. And Corey, I know you have that Social Security maximization report that you can run for people. And I think, listeners, that's so important. You put in your personal information. It's a report based on your situation. telling you when the best time to file is, talking about spousal benefits, helping you understand how to maximize those benefits. That's awesome. So, listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back with more of Financially Fit Radio right after this.
Throughout our working years, we attempt to accumulate as many eggs as possible into our retirement nest. Unfortunately, many people spend their energy focusing on how to accumulate a larger retirement nest egg without giving any thought to where their retirement assets should be invested. At Safe Harbor Retirement Group, we have put together a simple way for you to group your retirement assets. To learn ways you can protect your nest egg, download a complimentary Color of Money report at safeharboroh.com or call us today at 614-760-0670.
Welcome back to Financially Fit Radio. If you'd like more information about today's show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to address any inquiries you might have, or even to arrange either a in-person or virtual meeting. And remember, all of our meetings are complimentary and carry no obligation. Your financial well-being is our priority, so let us know how we can assist you best. You can give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit us on the web at safeharboroh.com. Well, Tony, we've been talking about the impact of inflation on Social Security. And, one of of course, we understand that with increased monthly benefits, it's going to help you keep up with inflation, but it's also going to help your financial security as well, right? The higher monthly benefit can also provide a substantial source of income. We kind of talk about that as well. But, if you have a long retirement, it's also going to make sure that you not only can keep up with inflation, but it's going to have a huge impact if something would happen to you. Now we're talking about survivor benefits, right? The odds are, for a lot of our listeners out there, if you don't know the way that actually works, when you pass away, and if you are, you do have a spouse, the spouse now either receives their Social Security or yours, whichever one is higher. So if you did not delay and maybe you took at the age of 62, that could actually end up having a huge impact, on your spouse's Social Security. Because let's face it, you're definitely going to be losing one. If you're receiving two, now you're only going to be receiving one Social Security check. And if you're not being able to keep up with inflation, now you could leave your spouse that actually could have a huge impact on whether or not they're going to have a nice retirement, potentially run out of money, or other type of issues that actually come up, the longer that people live.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's huge. You want to have a happy retirement, and longevity comes into play here too, doesn't it? I mean, how many years you're going to need money. And with inflation, the way it has been, I mean, it goes up, it goes down. You don't know, but it's always there every year. And it's not like prices go down. It's not like once prices go up, they go back down. That typically does not happen, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, I think we're all going to see that right now, right? With groceries they're not going to get cheaper.
No.
Right? So, I mean, they've already raised those rates. Gas. I mean, everything.
Cars.
Everything actually goes up. Exactly right. Another thing I'd like to kind of just talk about real quick here too, Tony, is tax considerations as well, right? So, a lot of my clients and even prospects that come in don't know how the Social Security taxes actually work, right?
Right.
So, if you make, for example, like over about $40,000 as a couple, up to 85% of your Social Security can actually be taxed from a federal level. But, most states out there, in the state of Ohio, they don't tax Social Security. But from a federal standpoint, they are taxed up to 85% of that. A lot of people are amazed that Social Security is even taxed. And then some think it's going to be taxed at 100%. So of course, the larger amount that you're making right now, the less taxes you're going to pay compared if you actually take that out of your IRA or other type of, an investment account as well. So, when we really start talking about, building income plans, and we talk about, being diverse, we always talk about being diverse in your portfolio, but you also need to make sure that you understand the way taxes work, because you want to be, again, diversified on the money that you actually receive from from Social Security.
Right. And you've already pointed out how the cost of living adjustment that they give on Social Security, if they do give one, doesn't keep up with actual inflation. So you're already losing on that end. You also don't want to be in a bad situation where your Social Security is being taxed. 85% of it is being taxed. That's very possible and likely for a lot of couples or people in retirement, even individuals. And I'm glad you're pointing that out. Before I started working with you, Corey, and doing the radio show, I did not think Social Security was taxed. Then I found out my home state even taxes it. There are states that tax Social Security on top of the federal tax. And boy, that threshold is low. I mean, as a couple, if you make combined anything over $40,000, then they start taxing up to 85% of your Social Security. And it's complicated because it's a graduating scale depending on certain things. But they can tax up to 85%.
Will that change long term? I think it's going to go from 85 to 100. Yep. They might have some tiers in there, but with the Social Security Trust Fund maybe potentially having issues,
yep.
Long term, they're going to have to do something in order to generate some additional income, for that trust fund to be able to pay for a lot of this type of stuff. But that's why I think it's so important. If you were just taking Social Security and then all your other income came from like tax-free or Roth conversions or life insurance, you might not be paying hardly anything
right.
in general on your Social Security as taxes as well. So that it's just like anything else. You need to kind of find out where you are, what's it going to look like when you're in retirement, because the best thing that you can do is pay zero tax, right? I mean that'd be the ultimate goal. Yeah. Or maybe you're only paying a tax on 50% of your income, right, or something to that portion of it. I mean, taxes are going to go up. They're at the lowest levels ever. And I think the more that you understand that, it's going to benefit you. Now, let's kind of talk about inflation. If you're actually getting a lot of tax-free money, if you're in a 10 or 12% tax bracket, that gives you at least 12%, 10 to 12% potentially of more spending power now in retirement as well.
Yeah, that's huge. And that'll help make up for some of that inflation. So when you do these retirement income plans and do an income plan for your clients, Corey, and that's one of the main services you provide, you look at you factor in inflation, don't you?
We do. In fact, we do factor in inflation when we build income plans. So, I mean, that has a huge impact. And I don't think people realize how big of an impact that is over a course of 20 to 30 years. Now, when you're retired, you don't have that paycheck coming in, because those annual increases got to come from somewhere.
Right.
And it's not going to come from Social Security. It's going to come from your retirement savings. And if you don't plan for it correctly, you could end up having an issue later on in life where you potentially run out of money. And I know that's everyone's worst nightmare.
Yeah. And we're out of time for the show, so let our listeners know how they can get that.
Yeah, for our listeners out there, just give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit our website at safeharboroh.com. And again, all of our meetings are complimentary. There's no obligation. We can provide you at the minimum a Social Security maximization report, so you can be educated to make the right decision when we start talking about your Social Security benefits. But more importantly, we can put together a financial plan or even a second review for you, put that second set of eyes to make sure that you're going to have the retirement that you want. So give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit us online at safeharboroh.com.
All right, Corey, great show today. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Financially Fit Radio.
Join us next week for another episode of Financially Fit Radio.
Thank you for listening to Financially Fit Radio. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, contact Corey Sickles at Safe Harbor Retirement Group. Call 614-760-0670 or visit their website at financiallyfitoh.com.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.